You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Welcome. It's time for Minute to Skim It. It's Miss Jen and Jenna. The J squared.
I am trying to do the sharing, and today it is not cooperating.
That's right. I already did it to our page.
Oh. I was doing it to our other two pages. We've got like 3.
Right. Hey! Ed Von D's on there. Okay.
Oh my gosh, not the Ed. I feel like I haven't seen him in a whole day.
There are a lot of books that are out this week that are really cool. Tons of number ones and some things that I've been waiting for a long time.
There was actually more.
Yeah, there was.
Just.
This is how much we could read in the time allotted. As always, we're skimming these. Actually, we read the whole thing so that we can give you guys a really a good synopsis that's not spoilery. So if you're worried about spoilers, don't worry about it. While you're thinking about it, if you give some thumbs up, hearts, and if you could share, that'd be awesome.
Okay. I've shared it to all the pages now.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness gracious.
Yes. We got some goodies.
Yes.
I think you have to go first because you have one more than me.
I do? Oh,
I think so.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about this book because it injured me.
Actually, True Blood.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like literally True Blood, actual blood. Bled for like 20 minutes. I was very mad. It's the new Jeff Lemire book, Tenement. So this one, it was a little hard to follow because it is part of the Bone Orchard mythos.
Those birds look remarkably alike.
They do. They really do. So it's all basically, all of this is happening in this building that's on the front there. It's kind of like an apartment building, but there's only 7 attendants there. There's only 7 people living in this giant, should be like 200 apartments there. And one of them is technically the same apartment because it's a mom and her son. And also, this rat kept making me angry. Surprisingly, I have 2 books about rats today. 2 books.
Ooh, I always like to figure out what the theme is because there's always something that kind of like roams through the books.
I have rats.
Rats for you, okay.
So in Tenement, it starts off with, it's kind of like this voice just talking about like, oh, we're all connected somehow. They're about to find out how. Let me go into my basement. Look at all the rats that run away. And I was like, yeah. And then it flashes over to this little boy who's like, I saw something I probably shouldn't have seen. I don't know if it was real, but nobody believes me. So I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. And then like halfway through the book, everybody experiences just one big dramatic thing. And it's the thing that the boy saw doing things. And then we're like, I guess like part of the thing that's going to happen is we're going to see how they're all connected. I want to see how they're all connected.
Yeah, I love shared universes. And I even kind of wonder a little bit, not worry, whether the Gideon Falls thing ties in here because it's very building related.
Probably. But yeah, so we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see what happens. It wasn't a whole lot of like information given to us, but I mean that's just how Jeff Lemire be. That's just how he be, right?
Yeah, we know it's gonna pay off.
And I paid my blood for it already. We're good.
Absolutely. In no particular order, did you know that there is volume 2 to The Mandalorian up this week? How to explain this one? Okay, so Mando is trying, of course, just like he is in the show, trying to find a way to get Grogu back to his people. That's his entire task. But somehow he's got it in his mind that if he finds another Mandalorian, that Mandalorian will help him figure out where Grogu's people are. That might be something that happened in the first volume, and there might be some more, cues for why. But having not read the first volume, I will tell you it's okay. You can totally figure it out. There's a new character that's been introduced in this series, of an unpronounceable sort. Sorry. And as part of his wanderings, the Mandalorian that he ends up running into is wearing that armor.
The gas.
And if you guys are really, really into the crate dragons, and you think to yourself, why don't we ever get to see any crate dragons? You get to see crate dragons.
About time.
There's one on the front cover here. They kind of look like sand sharks. It was not what I was expecting, but I love them. But this is really cool. I like it when they give us new characters, and it's written by Rodney Barnes, who is real tight in the TV world. He's done a bunch of stuff that you've watched. You just didn't know that you had watched his good stuff. All the Mandalorians are in a commune in Northern California. No, no.
Gas. No.
Oh, okay, so Eddie, first season was season. I don't know. It was what is wrong with my husband and I. We have for almost every single Star Wars Disney Plus show, we've started watching it and liked it, but then wandered off to some other show and never went back and finished any of them.
That's how I feel about the weekly shows. It just sort of, I have to wait for a show to end before I can watch it, because I don't know if it's my ADD or what. It was like, oh, shiny object over here. Here we go.
Did anyone else successfully finish entire? I'm talking about specifically Star Wars seasons. You start it and finish it.
Me and Jay watched the first season. We just couldn't get back to it. Couldn't get back to it. Okay, I'm going to talk about the next book that I've been raving about for months now. And if you're not reading it, you're wrong. Okay, and I'm going to have to act it out because I don't know how to describe it other than acting it out. All right.
I'm intrigued.
Hunt.Kill.Repeat number 4. There's our characters there. Yes, there's Artemis being bloody well amazing, and there's her friend. Okay, so in the last book, Hef's dead, baby. So guess what? We're going to go down to the underworld. She gets down to the underworld, and she's all like, hey, Uncle Hades, I need my friend Hef back. And he's like, oh, you can't do that. You got to do a soul for a soul. This is all in part 3, so you can understand what's happening here. And then, and she's like, oh, well, I will give you my soul. And Hef's all like, nah, bro, don't do that. I'm super old. She's like, but I'm super old too, because we're both gods. And he's like, yeah, but you're not a god anymore. And she's like, okay. And then guess who shows up? Aphrodite's be showing up. And she's like, yo, sister, I don't like the fact that you woke up from a coma. And she's like, well, I don't like the fact that you took my baby out of me. And you also tried to kill me. And you did kill my baby. And then you killed my husband, my mortal husband. Because now, guess what? I'm mortal. And Aphrodite's just like, I'm going to kill you. And then she doesn't. Again. Artemis kills her. Artemis kills Aphrodite. This is all in the last book. And then Uncle Hades is all like, oh, that was so entertaining. That's a soul for a soul. Here's your friend back. She's like, dope, gotta go. And Uncle Hades all like, hey, wait a minute. Do you want to hear that tea? She's like, oh, Uncle Hades, you have tea for me? But that's going to have to hold on. I have to go get revenge for my dead son from my father Zeus. And he's like, well, guess what? He's not dead. Toodaloo, bye, nice. I'll see you later. And she's like, hold on. I gotta go. So now that you guys are caught up on what happened in the last 3 books, this is what happens in the next book. So she's like trying to run out there. She's like, oh, I gotta go get my son back. And Hef's all like, whoa. You gotta wait. You can't just go up there against all the gods of Olympus. She's like, my son's alive. I gotta get him. And he's like, yeah, but he's like brainwashed. It's been like 10 years. He doesn't know you. He thinks you just like ran off. He doesn't know you've been in a coma. Like, maybe let's wait. And then just as she's like, well, no, I'm not going to wait. Who shows up? Athena with her giant bloody owl of... And while all that's happening, Athena has her whole army outside of the building. And we have her other friend, who she just calls friend, the older looking dude on the bottom, and the cat. Look at the cat with his mustache and goatee. It's adorable. Anyways, they're outside setting up bombs, being like, hey, army, let's mosey on down the old dirt road. And then, she is fighting with Athena, but not really, because it's more like the owl is attacking her nonstop. She's like losing her armor. She gets gutted a little bit. And then all of a sudden the cat comes out of the ceiling. And it's all like, oh, bird, num, 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 num. And all that we know from the first 3 issues is that the cat's a regular cat. But the cat ate a goddess's god bird, owl. So I'm wondering, is that cat something? Yeah, so that's where we are. It's one of my favorite series going on to date.
I feel like both of those parts, the I'll catch you up and separately the other piece, just need to be out there on the internet by themselves.
They're so good.
And I guess with Insane in the Membrane playing in the background, question mark, Eddie?
Oh gosh, but it's so good.
So this is like, I think that there's a ton of Mad Cave series that
people are sleeping on.
All of our staff love. You can always tell if we're reviewing an issue that's not number 1 or number 2, that probably we're in love.
Maybe. I mean, this is issue number 4 that I'm doing. It's like, I can't, like, now I have to wait a whole nother month for the next issue, and I'm not happy. I love the series. Please pick it up. Hunt.Kill.Repeat from Mad Cave.
Yeah, are you going to do that whole thing to catch people up with Blacksmith? Because I can. If you want me to do the first series Blacksmith, I just read it all last night, so I can do it if you need me to. But if you know it, you can do it. All right, here we go. Extra size, spectacular Wonder Woman 800. This is definitely exercised. Okay, so best way to describe this series is Wonder Woman is doing some kind of healing, like trance or dream walk. And goes through, and it feels like she's doing shared dream space with other characters. So she does one with Batman, one with Superman, and some other people from, I think there's someone from the Messiah. But they're all beautiful stories. Like the first one, the art is like, you might want to frame all of it. It's not comic book art. It's that real beautiful, like painted looking art. Let me see who the artist is for that first section. But just know that the big deal about this issue is it does introduce, it's all over the internet, so I'm not spoiling anything for you. It's introducing Trinity, which is Diana's daughter, which we have never seen before.
Yes.
And there's a bunch of crazy stuff about her, who she really is related to, and all that stuff in here. So if you're at all a DC person, I'm guessing this is, and it has a big to be continued part to it. But if you're a big DC comic book person, don't miss it, because I have a feeling that you're gonna really want it. It touches on Wonder Girl too. Why does it not have this first section's artist?
Would it be at the very front part of it, maybe? Because sometimes DC does that on here. Huh.
No.
That's so weird.
You don't get to know who the first artist is. That's nuts. Because it looks like who's the one that does the best covers?
Well, that's up for debate.
It's probably Bartel.
I would say Bartel, Art Germ. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
But it's great. It's this cover at least is by Pickens, but there's a bunch of really pretty ones out there. And I like the Wonder Girl first story the best, but they all tie together. They're kind of like, they are written by different people. I think Becky Cloonan writes the one that involves Trinity, but they flow right into each other. They're not separate stories. They belong all together.
So this book I want to give fair warning to. I wasn't really. This is Tales of Suspense, because it's a Z. SYZ. Which I see his autocorrect fix it for him. But it's with a Z. Suspense. Le Mort 13 Dreamweaver. Yeah. So there's 3 stories in this. The first one, I was unable to read it. It had very pretty art in it. But like the text was even Jen had trouble. Like I showed it to her.
I would not have been able to read that.
Yeah, I couldn't.
I'm 53 and my eyesight means that you can't put certain colors on top of other colors and expect to be able to read them.
Yeah.
Putting red letters on black
Yeah.
I can't read it.
I couldn't. And then also some of it was so tiny that you needed a microscope for. It's like, what are you, or a magnifying glass? Like, what is this? But it was beautiful art. I wish I could have been able to read it. So that was the first story. The second story, though, different artist, different letterer. Yay. What they did was, it is a cop. He is chasing down, somebody's called in something bad. He's in this like a warehouse type thing, and he's chasing down what he thinks is criminal. Turns out it's a bunch of cultists that may or may not be accidentally opening a portal full of blood. Yeah.
Portal full of blood is good if you are a vampire and thirsty. But
They were
for all other reasons, not good.
What's funny to me about it was they were like, oh snap, this is for real. Oh snap, this is for real. This is actually opening. Oh no, whoopsie doodle. We didn't mean for this to be real. Whoopsie doodle. Water break. Okay. And then in the third one,
Iced tea.
the third one, it was 3 pages, and the first 2 pages had no words. It was kind of this, it was really cool artwork, the way it was kind of like this ink had been like dragged across to look like a guy in like a poncho. And he's like walking, and then the next page he's walking, and the third page he's walking, and he says like one sentence. And you're like, oh, that sentence makes you think like, oh, things are not good. Oh, also on the second story, the cop actually has like a specter where it's like a wisp. You know, like the will-o'-the-wisp. He has like one of those that's with him that keeps him from being unalived from the accidental portal. Yeah. Okay, that's no spoilers. That's like straight
setup.
Yes, those are the setups of each of them. Like I said, I wish I could have read the first one because the art was gorgeous. But hey, Rob, what? Shirts in the house. What's up? Yes. But yeah, it's interesting. We'll have to see what happens with it.
So I guess fair warning, you should pull out your aught light with the magnifying part. If you are over 48, you own one of these, and it's not because you're trying to sew, but just trying to, survive. I got mine from my dad, and once he passed, I claimed it for myself because I also can't see.
But even with that, I don't know if in that first one, maybe you weren't supposed to be able to read it. Maybe that's why it was so
maybe
small.
that's part of the shtick.
But like I said, the rest of it was red lettering on. I couldn't read it.
You have one in your pocket. You have an illuminated loop. Oh, I love it. Okay. This is Godzilla. Here There Be Dragons. And, we've seen Godzilla through time. And this one is the most fun because it literally has a tale being told by a pirate who's been captured. And in order to get rum from his captors before he hangs on the gallows, he's promised them a story about a giant dragon involving the Queen of England. And so he does tell them a tale. And I don't know, this is issue number 1. I don't know if he's going to get to the end of his tale and have avoided the gallows and then,
I know.
I got IDW. Rum out of y'all, haha.
It is IDW. I like
tale. That's right.
Pirate.
So it is definitely a Godzilla tale. And it's neat because they show some old maps. Usually in the old maps where they'll have here there'll be monsters and they'll have sea serpents there. Well, they have it looks like it's drawn of the era, like Mothra and King Ghidorah and those things. So I really enjoy it. I like anytime we get a pirate tale.
Do you just secretly want to be a pirate? Is that what this is about?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
no, they are pretty stinky. No, thank you.
From what I heard from historical things that I've read, is that pirates are actually cleaner than royals, because royals and nobility back then thought that if you bathed too much, you were inviting spirits and demons to you, and pirates were so sick and tired of smelling the seawater.
So glad
that they like to clean things. Yep.
Lies and slander.
Lies and slander. It's Bender says it.
Oh, so fair warning to everybody. I'm known throughout the industry as loving most every book there is. So the most evil thing I could ever say about a book is either A, I don't know what I read. Or it's not my jam, it might be yours. Those are literally the most shade I can throw at a book. So if you ever hear me say that, you can take it as a personal challenge, and people have. They're like, it's just you, Miss Jen. You don't understand what they're trying to go for.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mine is usually it wasn't quite my cup of tea.
There you go. Yes.
There wasn't enough tea. Like Hades over here spilling all the tea. Anyways, so this is.
Place.
Oh my God.
Oh my word.
Oh my God. This is Victory, number 1 from Dynamite. This comes off the heels of the Sacred 6 that the series that they did, where we saw 6 different iterations of Vampirilla, I think it was, or 6 different ones that had the same powers as Vampirilla. This one's Victory. So you don't have to read it. You don't have to read Sacred 6 to get this. This one literally recaps it in the story. But yeah, so it opens up. She is still a little girl in Alabama, and she's sitting. Oh my God, she's in a shed, and I mean they're just a bunch of kids. And you know, kids, they do this thing where they're like, "Show me yours, I'll show you mine," or "Show me mine, I'll show you yours," whatever. So she's in the shed, you know, with a bunch of her friends, and that's what they start doing. And then her dad walks in, who is a Southern Baptist man, preacher. Southern Baptist preacher is like, "What did you say?" And he literally throws this Bible at her and like hits her in the face, and he just starts hitting her with his belt. And then we flash forward to now, and she is like a cab driver, kind of like there's demons. She's got 2 souls in her backseat, and she's driving like crazy, and the demons hit her, and the oh my God, she deserved exactly like Vampirilla. Yeah, well, that's because she has the same powers. And this also was coming off the heels of she got this ring that gives her certain powers, like more powers. That's the only thing that you missed from Sacred 6. But they, like I said, they revisit it for a page or 2 in there to let you know. They're like, hey, you could read Sacred 6 number this, or we'll just tell you right now. And it's like, dope. Ow.
You just hurt yourself by snapping? Oh, because you're...
Ow!
Oh, no.
So, and then also we're getting to see an old character that we did see before, but in a different body, and she's not happy to see said character, and you find out why in the book. And also there is an angel in here that is giving 70s adult film. Like he has the blonde mullet, right? And he has like a brown mustache, like that type of mustache that you used to see. And he's also got this like a black vest that's open. And like, it's giving 70s, my dude. Like, but he's like, oh, Victory, sassy. And they're just like, both of them are just like, shut up. So yeah, it's full of sass. I'm super enjoying. I can't wait to see what's going to be next.
They're putting people in dresses and
So like,
I love you guys so much.
Oh my gosh,
you guys are mostly why the show is good. All right. For you guys that love Archie horror, Chilling Adventures presents Camp Pickens. I am not traditionally an Archie reader. Not that I don't like Archie, it's just not. I like to pick other things instead. This one's actually exceptionally good. So imagine that there's a main storyline that's going through the main book. There are 3 or 4 parts of it that they put. There's at the beginning, at the end, and then there's a couple pieces in the middle. And that story is it's all about Camp Pickens, which is an actual sleepaway camp in which our normal main characters, Archie, Betty, Veronica, Jughead, and those guys are camp counselors. Not great at their jobs, but they are. And so Archie is the main camp counselor, and the main storyline that involves bug juice, which to you and I and the rest of the world is like a weird green drink that they label as bug juice so kids will drink it and think it's fun. But in this instance, it actually is bug juice.
Why? That
they're giving the camp kids because it protects them from other creatures that are in this very haunted / full of monsters forest. So And that has a through line that goes through the whole book. But then there's other individual stories that are put in there that are standalone. And it's some of it is just so funny. There's like a whole shtick where Betty is so distracted that she's not doing any of the things she's supposed to be doing to prepare for being a camp counselor, because this happens ahead of them arriving, all the kids. And she's instead more interested in making stock trades on her phone and ordering a sauna to be airdropped, literally airdropped into the camp so she can enjoy that. So yeah, it's, if you haven't joined in any of the chillers stuff for Archie, this is a single shot book and it's really good. I would totally jump in there.
Nice. That is.
They're still talking about clothing.
Of course. This will be the rest of the episode. Speaking of clothing, let's talk about Scarlet Witch. This is the annual. This is a prelude to a contest of chaos. So I am obviously missing a lot because every page, if not every other page, it says, see this issue, see this issue, see this issue. I was just like, Bad Jenna forgot to read The Trial of Magneto. I also apparently forgot to read a couple of other things that have happened in the past. But from what I'm guessing, because they kind of touched on it for a second, is that so Scarlet Witch has defeated a demon god and locked him away inside of her soul. And then she also got rid of the darkness or the void.
Oh, okay. So we're not talking about the Darkhold, the book.
The place she got rid of.
She got rid of the place.
Yeah,
okay.
she got rid of the place. Like I said, it was very. I wish there's like 3 or 4 books that it says to read before this, but once you get past those first few things, it kind of like rolls together. And Agatha shows up and is all like, "Hey,
is that Harkness?"
Yes,
Harkness.
it's Agatha Harkness. She shows up, and Scarlet Witch is all like, "Hey, you're young again," and she's like, "I've always been young, thank you, and you are my ward, and I am here to tell you maybe having a demon god stuck inside of you is not a good idea." And she's like, "I got it," and then she feeds her some eggs of the brood to turn her into the brood, and then she's just like, "No, I'm good. I'm not the brood no more."
I like the brood. It shows up all the time.
It does finish the story, and it does leave room for like you to figure out some things, because then they start fighting across the multiverse just because Agatha's trying to prove that maybe she can't handle everything on her own and she needs help, and she's trying to prove, dude, I'm fine. That seems
right on.
It is a one-shot. Whole story if you've read all the other stories, I guess. I tried.
The last big storyline I read for Scarlet Witch was the murder one, where Magneto is accused of murdering her and has in fact murdered her, but for reasons that are different than what anyone thinks. So
that's what they talked about. They're like, "Oh yeah, you know that time that she was totally unalive." Like, yeah, that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
it's no longer a problem for mutant kind. All right, here is Ultimate Invasion, the storyline you probably haven't heard anything about because they did a bad job of advertising this because they were focused on so many other things with Marvel. Sorry. But don't miss this because it's Hickman writing Invasion story. So, you know, when Hickman touches stuff, it's going to touch the rest of the universe. This one is particularly focused in on this caker. This is the Maker. Got to pay attention to that character. That is a future very evil version of Reed Richards. He's super smart, and in this case, he has previously been captured and put away in a black site. And he is very creatively, because he's super smart, obviously, found a way to get himself out of there. That is a really wonderful part of this story that I'm not going to wreck for you because it's so awesome. And he's been gathering together specific things that you've probably heard about in the Marvel Universe before. And he, of course, is going, because he's the Maker, he's going to put them together to make something. We just don't know what it is. So the storyline is very rich and touches on a bunch of stuff, but just know that it does very clearly leave you at a point where it's like, okay, well, what is he really doing, and how much is it going to touch in the Marvel universe? Now, Marvel has touted this as being something very important to its universe, which is weird that they didn't make a big deal out of it to us. They did actually make a video, if you go and find it on the YouTubes, under the Marvel site, and then they made a couple posts about it today on their social media. So, surprise to everybody. It might be something that sells out quickly at your LCS because they didn't tell us that it was going to be a big deal, because it's helpful to us to know how many to order.
By the way, Ed, remind me later, there is actually an update to the pickles. So there's an update to the pickles. Alfie got the pickles. She made a video about the pickles. Remind me to send it to you later, and I will.
Yes, Rob, that is also what I've heard, that they're launching a new Ultimate universe. It is not attached to the old Ultimate stuff. That is what they have told us. But Hickman will do whatever Hickman wants.
Okay, fair warning. I'm probably going to lose my mind here in a minute. And also, if anybody knows how to get in touch with the head people of Cinescope, send them the following. This is Grand Fairy Tales Myth and Legends Quarterly Dragon. This is number 6 in a story. You cannot understand what is happening in this unless you have read the other 6 books that have come out recently. The only reason I understood it is because I'm reading the other stuff. So it says quarterly,
to the spotlight
says one
from
shot.
last week?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, it did. Oh, Ed, we can't talk about that. This is Jen. No, we're not talking about that. This book. Zinsco, please start numbering your books. I completely understand that, like, the random people, like me, the people who have read it, will know to look for the launch symbol. Nobody else will think of that. They will see quarterly. They will see the word one shot. They will think it's a one shot. It is not. They are building up right now. And actually, not even just 6. Over the last year, all of their books that they've called one shots or quarterlies or annuals are leading up to an event. They're all coming together for this big event. And this was the history of our bloody well fish people / Cthulhu people. And this is actually told from their side of what's going on in the story of ancient times and now, where we were actually the bad guys. We were the ones actually slaughtering and sacrificing their children for magic. And so that is why Cthulhu rose and was like, hey, wait a minute, stop slaughtering all our babies. Let's just take out humanity. I'm sick and tired of them. And thus, ancient times people, like, they took each other out. That's just how it happened. Now there is no more of the elder gods was originally humans rather than like Cthulhu. Like, yes, you will.
Yeah, I also feel that way, Rob. That they say, no, it's not touching, but come on.
Ugh. But please, if you are going to read any of the stuff coming out recently from Zenescope, you got to pick it all up. I know they say one-shots. I know they say annuals. I know they say quarterly. They are not. They are all connected. And literally what happens in this directly picks up exactly where last week's came out. Like, thing. Like, and then also, this is where the other rat was. And it stole my catchphrase. Okay? It stole my catchphrase.
What's your catchphrase?
Burn it down.
Burn it down.
Burn it all down. Start over. Burn it down. So it starts off, we have this little boy who has been hearing voices in his head. Ever since his dad left, his mom has kind of been drinking and passing out on the couch, and nobody talks to him at school. So he's kind of a loner. This is maybe in the 90s, I want to say. And so what's he do? He starts hearing a voice. So he goes over, he slits his mom's throat, uses her blood to summon something, and then just goes on a murder spree for the next 2 decades.
It's so sad.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it could have been she was not a very nice person. Oh, she did bad things. But also, I don't know how to explain it without any more spoilers. We get to see the 3 other characters that he's considered his keys that we have met over the past few books. This is his latest one, and he's starting to mutate more into the fish people, as Jay calls them, the fish people. As much as I love reading his needing a step under yourself, stole my life story. Yeah. They're trying to reawaken Cthulhu after the Elder Gods used his own baby's blood to seal him away. And the Elder Gods were human. One of them actually kind of looked like Thor. He had the hammer and everything.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's... If you want to pick it up, definitely pick it up. If you're into the whole Elder Gods and things like that, this is a history, so you're only going to be kind of confused on a couple of things, but the history itself you won't be confused on. If you're reading the Zenescope stuff going on right now, you have to get this book. This is the history of all the things that we're reading right now. Yeah. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Your TED Talk is awesome. Anyone else sick of Cthulhu comics?
I don't know. I kind of like different Elder God things. Like when Cthulhu invades Oz or Wonderland, that was really cool.
Speaking of Elder Gods.
Oh, snap.
Hulk number 1. Okay, and the last big storyline that was finished recently for Hulk, Banner had locked Hulk behind the green door.
Rude.
And, which is where all the power is, and seemed to be kind of in control, which we know is not true. In this book, it is very clear that Hulk himself is fighting very hard to be in control of the body. But not only that, there are these weird elder gods that become awakened that also would like to have control over Hulk's body.
What?
It is, you'll love it, particularly if you're a fan of the old Incredible Hulk TV show, which features Bruce kind of like walking from town to town, just trying to, make his way in this world, because you meet him and he's literally wanders into a diner and says, I can't stay. Whatever sandwiches you have ready, I will take. And while he's there, he realizes he stays too long. And it's heartbreaking what happens. It's just, you can see that the Hulk, as much as he's usually very brutal and very violent and not really thinking about what he's doing, it's very clear that he just does not care about anybody anymore.
Aww.
Particularly not about Bruce.
Bruce's music at the end.
Sad music.
Kind of like MASH. Why did you tell me to look up the lyrics, Ed? Why? Now I'm sad. All right, this is Black's Myths, The Key to His Heart. Oh my goodness, that's a whole lot of words.
Do you know the first series?
I don't know.
All right, I'm going to give you guys...
This was really good.
I'm going to get you guys caught up, because it's important.
Quick catch up. We're ready.
Do go find this graphic novel or these 5 individual issues from Ahoy Comics. Okay, so this is a very successful world in which many disparate things like vampires and werewolves get thrown together with other things that don't make any sense, like deep sea fish that have like the little, the ones that like hang down the little light. That, like, whatever those things are called.
Anglerfish.
Yeah. And other crazy beings kind of get smashed together in the same universe, and it makes all the sense. Okay, so you've got this main character here that her name is Strummer.
She's actually the same main character in mine, too.
And she has this really good friend that's there with her, and he has a really short name like Ben. And they're roomies. She is a detective. Mostly she takes jobs that are very simple, like proving that someone's cheating on their spouse, right? And in the very beginning of this series, she gets hired by a man named Mr. Black, and he wants her to go and find out this mystery of where he has some silver bullets that have gone missing. He has 30 silver bullets that he says were made by melting down the silver from the 30 coins of Judas. There's no proof for this. And so he sends her out on to go try to find out this mystery. And there's a lot of no one's telling really the truth. And it takes her into vampire territory. And she has her own personal lore that's part of her. She is not fully human, and neither is Ben. And it's just the best. It is every single individual book is awesome because it has its own, like the very first page of every book has the same POV, overhead view or bird's eye view, and has the first line is the same. So it's trust me, it wraps up in a really great place. And then I'm assuming it goes straight into this.
It feels like it. So we have the detective. She's back again. Our vampire detective is back. And she gets a call while she's in the middle of having cuddles with her girlfriend in bed. And she's like, oh, I got to go save the world. Or not save the world. I got to go do something. And her girlfriend's like, well, go save the world then. I love you. And the detective's like, okay. And like walks away. She's like, I am very surprised by that. It's like, oh no, this will be kind of a thing later. I feel bad for you. Like, oh no. So the call that she had gotten was actually from a mom who was hiring her to find her daughter. And so she finds the daughter out in the park at a fountain making out with a dude while people are taking pictures of it. And they like the dude gets her shirt off and they're like recording it. She's like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? This is rude. Go away. Teenage boys, go away. And then the girl walks up. She's like, what are you doing? Like, why? Darn it. I didn't know he was recording. And she like slaps the dude and then he runs off. And she puts her shirt back on. She's like, oh, great. Now my mom is sending a detective because I snuck out. And she called the cops. And the detective's like, whoa, looky over there in the woods. Distraction. Unicorn. Ah. And she's like, oh my God, look at the unicorn. And our detective's like, oh, I can't see it. I just think that my partner over there is just petting the air like a weirdo. And this is what like really made it funny to me. She's like, only virgins can see unicorns. Not the virgins you guys are thinking of. By the way, like a page later, you find out it's murder virgins, people who've never murdered people. Can see the unicorn.
That hopefully is all of us.
Yeah, like at first, like she lets the girl believe, like, oh, well, you know, I'm leaving for college in like a month and a half, and I can't believe I'm still like I can see the unicorn. So obviously, you know, like you interrupted my Ceci time, so there we go. And yeah, so now she's like, well, you know what? I wasn't so much worried about you because you ain't human. And now they're trying to figure out if she's going to be a good apprentice or not. And then we like the interaction between her and her dude friend that are there was like hysterical because he was like, did you really tell that kid that only virgins could see this? She was like, well, she didn't need to know what kind of virgins could see this. And also there's a creepy shadow following them. So I think that's what the series is going to be about, is our new character that we're meeting maybe trying to figure out what she is, or maybe what is the shadows. I don't know, man. Like we're gonna have to see. Looks like it's going to be a good mystery with a side of possible unaliving, which is gonna be fun.
And weird. I also love the version of unicorns that are presented in the Shazam sequel.
Oh God, it was so good. I was so mad. Like unicorns only eating bloody Skittles brings me joy.
And also, Jay, yes, I successfully interviewed Eric many, many times without talking about his sister, which I'm sure he appreciates since we're there to talk about comic books.
Oh, gosh.
All right.
Two more? Yes.
This is a really cool book. This one is from Bliss on Tap, the same people that brought you Duel, which is that cool story in which it is a world which anyone can challenge you to a duel. And it's a very public thing where you get points and people follow you, and that's a really cool universe. Actually, very big rumors that that's being developed. This is Killing Hope. This is when the world wants you dead, sometimes alone is best. You meet Hope as she's desperately running away from you don't know what. Just needs to get gas and is trying to just like get that done before she runs out of it and get back down the road. And yeah, it's a really dope book. And if you've already read it, then I'm jealous of you. But it is how to explain it? I don't want to spoil anything for you. Everybody that she comes across wants to kill her.
Oh.
It's very unclear why.
Well, that's rude.
Yeah. And I do mean
rude.
I do mean everyone. It's very weird. But yeah, she looks terrified most of the time, so I don't think she's got like some kind of superpower that she's gonna turn on or whatever, but
she's just super
hope must be a TikToker, maybe.
No, gosh, that sounds familiar. All right, here's I Hate Fairyland, number 6. If you're not reading this, you're wrong.
You're just wrong?
Just wrong. Okay, so, oh my God, this was such a spoiler one. So I'm not gonna, okay. I'm gonna be very vague about this because we all know how amazing I Hate Fairyland is already. Okay, so, I Hate Fairyland. There is a new High Council with a new king, King Claudius. Yes, Claudius, who is I think it was the brother of the original Queen Cloud from the original series. So we get to meet them. Also, what was super cool is there is a new character given to us named Censord, who's the censor wizard, who he says, like, my life is super boring except for when she is here. And King Claudius is like, who? It's like, how do you not know who? How do you not know who? It is the same person that unalived your sister like 2 decades ago, give or take at this point. I want to say like at least a dozen years ago, maybe a baker's dozen, but still, like, here we are. And like, he's like, why would you just mash censor wizard together? And he's like, well, censor wizard, you just call Sins word. And it's like, oh goodness. So the High Council, they're trying to argue about this poor wizard's name. And then the king's like, okay, hold on. Who is here? Like, why are you like so exhausted from working nonstop? And he's like, well, she's here. So it's not that you can't cuss in Fairyland. It's that this one wizard makes sure you can't cuss in Fairyland. Yeah. And so they're like, well, fine, go get him. And they're like, who's him? And then all of a sudden there's this like dude that's got like a mullet and like those glasses and a trucker hat with a beer belly. And he's like, oh, you need somebody to jump universes? I got you. And he's just like, I don't want to shake your hand. He's like, you got to shake my hand. And in my mind, it sounded like Florida Man. Like, I don't know if you guys know who that is, but just like,
I'm aware of Florida Man.
Yeah. And it sounded and kind of reminded me of Florida Man because he has this station wagon that can travel through the universe, the multiverse, and time travel. You're just like, oh my gosh, what's happening here? And then, so we flip over to Gertrude. She's going through Fairyland. She finds this little boy. And guess who's with the little boy? Larry! As we can see, it's not really a spoiler because it's on the cover. So she's trying to get Larry to come back with her. And Larry's like, no, I want to help Tim. And she's like, who the fluff is this little fluffing boy? And you're like, yep, there's a wizard. Says where it's working. So I can't say anything else. That's only the first 6 pages of the book.
That's pretty good.
I can't say anything else.
It's a good tease.
Oh my God, there's a twist that I didn't know was even possible for I Hate Fairyland, but here we are.
And also for you guys that are collecting the trades, your volume 5 drops today.
Volume 5 is also the beginning of the new storyline. So it's like volume 1 instead of 5.
So you're saying you could just jump in here?
Yes.
Because all the rest of them are much younger, right?
Yes.
This is the first
one.
So
volume 5, she's an adult. She's like 20, 21. Or she's older than that because she drinks a lot. She's good like 25, 26 now. She's hitting her mid-20s, going into her 30s. And this whole thing is just like, what am I doing with my life? I want to go back to Fairyland. Why'd I want out? Now I'm back in Fairyland. Why'd I want to be here? Yes. But yes, please pick it up. It's so good. And if you wanted to, you can actually pick it up from this issue.
Awesome.
So you don't need, like, this is the number 1 of a new story arc. Yeah.
Killer. All right. I will be self-admitting that this is my first foray into Wild's End. I think that Wild's End has had like 4 or 5 series.
It's such a great series.
They don't actually name it anything different every time. They just name it Wild's End. This is a mini series of 6, still by Abnett and Coolbard. This is a really sweet tale. It follows, I believe these characters have been around for a while, but this is a seafaring town and follows very specifically the crew of a boat who it appears that the ship's captain may be slipping a little bit mentally and not really remember that some of his crew has died long ago.
It's that saltwater man.
I think so. And so some of his crew members have been under the idea that he will be passing the boat down to them. And instead, at this voyage, they get introduced to his grandson, who is very green. He's like definitely the greenhorn, doesn't know a lot of stuff. By the way, just so you know, in this story, all of these characters are different animals. So they're animals doing people things, which is, there's nothing about them being animals that involves affecting the story at all. It just happens to be their animals. And they get out to sea, and they have all of these complexities come up where a great many of the crew members are kind of angry because the grandson doesn't know anything. And one of the old crew members that was very important to the crew was named Brian, just happens to be the dead husband of one of the other crewmates that she stayed on the boat because she feels like a sense of obligation kind of to like continue on in her husband's stead and not leave him hanging. But the captain quite often asks for Brian or says that Brian is going to get the boat, and Brian's totally dead. And while they're out to sea, something crazy and supernatural happens. It feels like in the middle of this book that you're just really enjoying, it becomes another kind of genre that you're not expecting from a book that is starring animals. So I would say definitely if you've never read any of the books, you don't need to go back and read any of the rest of it. You can totally jump in right where this is and just really enjoy it. It's one of my big picks of the week, despite it being like, you know, one of just the fourth series of the same exact name.
It's a good series. I picked it because I figured you might have read some of the other ones. My bad. All right. Before I get into this, please read this. Dynamite. Nick, call me because more. We need more of this. This is Sweetie Candy Vigilante. Okay, so there's Sweetie. Look how awesome she is. I love her. She is a vampire. She does not like blood. So what does she do? Candy. Candy. It's so great. It is candy. So
does it matter what kind of candy?
No, she just likes sweets. Okay. She's cotton candy, gum, all kinds of things. She has a white Christmas tree that runs her candy shop that used to be a bar/strip club. And then, you know, her best man, her like side dude, who's like the top of her like friends that like helps her run things, is a werewolf that also likes candy because she helped him become good, because that's what she wants. She wants everybody to be good. She wants everybody to be sweet. Also, there's a war going on with Santa Claus going on. It's great. The werewolf dude accidentally ate two very bad people that were trying to kill a bunch of kids. And she's like, "Nah, you're good, bro. That's okay. Have a candy. Come hang out at my new candy shop." This is the grand opening. In this issue, it's the grand opening. And then also, she has, so the white Christmas tree is the security and also runs her bar/candy shop, which is just a sweets shop, which she's very adamant about because detectives show up looking for what happened to the two dudes because all they have is one head, no body, like anything. And she's like, "This is a sweets shop." And they're like, "Okay, your candy shop." And she's like, "Sweets. This is a sweets shop." Also, now they're blowing up on all social medias, like just super viral everywhere because of the way she is. Like she's so sweet and kind and caring, but a little bit murderous. Just a little bit. And then also her cybersecurity / the person who runs all of her socials, like her online expert, is a giant green gummy bear. And I love him. Love him. His name is Gummy with 2 E's. I love him. And then so the detectives are at the sweets shop on this grand opening day, and she's just feeding all of the cops, like, "Here, have some candy. Here, have some candy." And all of them are instantly just getting happier. And it's like, oh. And then the one detective is like, "Well, I don't eat sugar." And she's like, "Oh, that's okay. I have sugar-free toffee." And she's like, "Oh, that's okay."
They wrote that part for me.
So delicious. And then also the other character that's in here, the one with purple hair, she actually used to be one of the strippers. And right when Sweetie showed up there, the guy who was in charge was like in the middle of beating her. And Sweetie's like, "You're a good egg. I'm going to keep you with us." And after the last like 5 issues, she finally gets turned into not quite a vampire like Sweetie is, but like something. We don't know what it is yet, but it's surprising how happy everybody is in this with how much murder is in this. Yeah. The best.
Love it.
Please pick it up. All of the covers, it's by Dynamite. It's called Sweetie Candy Vigilante, which is also the name of her sweet shop. So it's so good. I need somebody else to fall in love with the giant Christmas tree and gummy bear with me, even though they're a little murderous. Please.
I think Eddie likes it already.
Yes.
Also, I'm pretty sure that the date says that Blaze You Did Homie is supposed to be released today. So we either sold through every single copy of it ahead of the show starting, which is possible. Not that we put it on the rack, but that we pre-sold them all because of the super niceness of Blaze and crew. They gave us a bunch of like autograph stuff we could sell with them. So that is entirely possible. We sold through everything. Or it got delayed a week, which is also possible. So keep your eyeballs open for that. Thank you, Blaze and ABK. This one is, I just want to let you know that we've got some trades that are out this week that people are waiting on. I understand that Junkyard Joe, which is tied to the bigger universe that is being written by Jeff Johns and attaches to, what's it called? Geiger.
Geiger's so good.
Is it Junkyard? Is it Geiger?
I love Geiger. It's the one where it's like radioactive stuff.
It does tie to another universe, but now I think my brain hurts.
Also,
it is from Geiger.
Also in Sweetie, they show a catalog of like shirts and stuff, and one of the shirts is her lips biting a cherry that looks like a skull. And they also have like, now they have like jackets and stuff. I'm waiting for the plushies and the statues of the tree and the gummy bear. So.
All right, everybody, we got a splits because there's something on after us. We love you guys so much. Thank you for being here every week. Let your friends know so they know what's going to be cool at their LCSs, and definitely go see your LCS tomorrow. See you guys later.
Bye.